Sure, geography.
It's our specialty. Podcast open. Oh, we got a whole list.
We got a big list today.
It's got a lot to do.
Hold tight, everyone. It's a 2-hour episode. Shall we do a little clappy?
Yeah.
Clappity clap.
Well, like, remember at the beginning, who are we?
A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do you hear those?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's not working.
I can't hear your pulse anymore.
That's
I have to
good.
keep checking you're alive, but yeah.
Keep the pulse down.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah. How was the rest of your trip?
Oh, good. I just woke up from quite an intense dream where I woke up with this intense sense of needing to slow down and smell the roses or whatever that expression is. And I was kind of living in this like university city, and every lunchtime I'd take my bike out and just go for a bike ride. And I think I just woke up thinking I need to slow down and take my time a little bit, but then also sort of driving in to work, thinking about how like incredibly privileged that is to think that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a stable job and family and blah, blah, blah. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a challenging thought.
I had a similar, well, I don't know. I don't really mind sharing. In my personal therapy session this week, my therapist was saying basically the same thing to me. You need to slow down. You're doing a lot. You're doing too much. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. But like, how does that solve any of the things that I'm trying to like accomplish? And for me, like half the time that relates to like, I feel like I'm, traffic is too slow and I can't get to work fast enough. And like, I can't get products here to make products, fast enough. And I see no resolution in that at this point, even though we've talked about it a couple times. But it's interesting. I still have the same sense that I need to slow down, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, we're so trained in the opposite direction. Trained to hustle. Yeah, my thought, I suppose, in response to my dream, I was like, instead of leaning over my laptop every lunchtime, like hustling to finish the latest email to get out and sell more product, I should just be going for a walk.
Sure. No, there's a lot of validity to that.
Finding some balance, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is the easy answer.
I think there was on our national public radio thing, which kind of broadcasts all over. There was a story a while back about how, like, basically the hook of the story was it's illegal in France to sit in front of your computer or sit in your office and eat lunch. Like, you have to go out and do something. So it's basically
Fantastic.
that exact story. And so then they went on to interview back and forth, like, people in America, people in France, and like how they felt about their coworkers, and like, and basically what it came down to is like most of the people in France felt more connected to their coworkers. They figured out how to get along with them better. It seemed like because they had these other moments that were more personal rather than just only work related. I mean, it's still work, but like you're forced to be not forced. You choose to be more friendly, I guess. I don't know.
Connected.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I can relate to that here. Like, kind of letting work bleed into breaks. Like, we have I'd say very structured break times here, and everyone tends to stop at the same time, particularly if work's under control, which it has been for quite a while now. So, but yeah, I let work bleed into, I'll just finish this quote. I just need to, get this out the door, and then lunchtime's half over and everyone's already sort of had their lunch and disappeared and off doing their own thing. So yeah, I can relate to that.
My dog used to come to work with me. So when I quit my job in 2013, we got a puppy basically at the same time. And basically until the pandemic, every day I was the caretaker. So, when I got a shop, she came to work with me. And while I'd always find it annoying that she like wanted me to, it wasn't even about her. It's just, I'm this person that like, I'm annoyed to have to stop to walk my dog. Right. Like, I just want to keep working. Like like that was always good for me to like have to stop and go walk the dog because, I got away from the computer. So I guess the lesson here is you need to get a dog at your office so you can go take it for walks.
It's Hunter, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Does
You
she
have dogs
still come to work?
sometimes. Once in a while, my wife demands her presence to be her coworker at home, so I don't get to bring her as much. But she's always a hit here.
Yeah, shop dogs are the best.
Yeah,
As
your new scene is interesting. I think I maybe prefer your lighting setup isn't done yet, but the last one was pretty good.
I know. My lighting's not done. Haven't worked that out yet.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was
You could
thinking,
like light out the boxes differently, so each box could be like a different light.
yesterday I was looking at this because this space is really narrow. Like it's, I think 900. It's about 3 feet wide.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's
think
narrow.
whoever designed this building intended this to be like a server cabinet, I think. And so I've got this shelf, which is sort of 150, 200 mil deep, which takes up quite a bit of elbow room. And I can't actually spin my desk chair around to get out. So I often like trip over myself trying to get in and out of the room. But I was thinking of replacing this set of shelves with some threadboard. So it's only taking up as much, like minimal depth, and it only takes up space where I want to store stuff. So I can put bulkier things up high and then have clear space down low where I'm trying to actually work.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with the setup. It's been fantastic actually over the last week or so since I've reconfigured this and made it a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's been so good for my work focus because it's terrible feng shui or whatever that expression is, because I'm like staring into a corner with people behind me. But like it's been fantastic for my focus, just not having any peripheral vision. And just like knuckling down and getting whatever I need to do done, and not being aware of who's moving around me or.
Yeah. It's basically what would be sent to if we were bad in like primary school. Like,
yeah,
you're in detention basically.
The naughty corner. It's fantastic. And I've put acoustic felt on the walls, which does this weird thing. If I lean too close to it with my noise cancelling headphones, it freaks out the headphones.
Oh, wow.
It's like, whoa, this surface is too dead. I don't know what to do with this.
There's no sine waves here. What do I do?
How's your week?
It's been actually mostly good. We've had kind of a mix of both good and bad, where we've shipped, if you can see, kind of see the back of it. There's 8 dust boots to go out there to be picked up.
Baby pants.
So we have all the pre-orders are shipped actually, if you include that pile, which is great. It took about a week to catch up, and so now we've gotten new orders, and we've been able to basically turn them around in a couple days, which is cool.
Fantastic! That's cool.
So that's the best part of it, and I've spent a lot of time working on designing fixturing for the ATC pedestals, and like basically making a way that I can actually make long enough parts, because they're like the base for the longish pieces are 17 inches. So it's like most of my table, and they're skinny and long. So I had to make a way to hold them basically, because there was I don't have another work holding method for that. So I learned a lot about like that kind of thing. But the bad side of what's happened this week, which isn't drastic, but we had one of our vacuum hold down motors start on fire.
I saw that. Yeah.
Basically spontaneously, a wire slipped off of one of our hour meters that was connected to it, and it just fried one of the coils. So Ricky and I ran to the back room when the fire alarm went off, which is linked right up here, the back room, the center of the shop, and it was just filled with smoke. And I was like, oh no, the dust collector's finally lit up, like...
Yeah.
But it was just that motor, which is pretty crucial for a lot of how we use that machine, the router anyway. We're going to have our electrician come and hopefully rewire some of it, because it just doesn't work. Part of the other problem is the switches are always going out on that dang thing. Like, we've replaced the power switches 4 times of the 4 motors since I've had it since 2017. They're just junk. Some changes coming with that. We had an airline blow off our Kaiser, just shot off.
It's always scary when that happens.
Terrifying. Luckily, we're very far away from it, and I'm probably going to go to some threaded versions for that little section. But yeah, other than that, it's been good.
Yeah, I think it's maybe on the BOM actually. Saunders talking about you can get these. Can't remember what they're called. They're like the valves that you put in your airline near the compressor.
The fuse,
air fuse. Such a cool idea. So if your system suddenly dumps a whole lot of air, which only really happens if you break a line.
Uh-huh.
The fuse goes, it's not going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a mechanical thing that magically shuts down.
When we were putting in the Kaiser, I was reevaluating all of the airline stuff, and I luckily realized we didn't have to replace everything. I thought we were going to have to. And so I was like, oh, those air fuses were cool. Maybe we should put one of those in. And what I could find on McMaster, which is like the easiest way to order hardware here, there was no
Damn you.
version that worked. It just, anyway, so I didn't do it.
I had the same thing when I looked into them. I was like, I'm confused. I don't know which one we need.
They were all very large, like huge versions. And we have like the toy version, basically, even though it's like considered industrial.
Yeah, I think after learning about air fuses, I kind of went around the workshop and just put some extra hose buckles on things and just like made sure there were no spots where we could get too much whiplash if a hose did go.
That's kind of what I was wondering. Like, is there like retention, like cable? So like something to hold it to the wall again or wherever it is that's not just the original clamp? Like, you know, some kind of...
I just use those saddles, like pipe saddles.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think they're called a half saddle just with a single screw, or you could use a double saddle with 2 screws and just like pin stuff.
I'd be very skeptical for the amount of power I saw coming off that thing that one would hold it. It was
true.
Wicked. This was a 1-inch line that whipped away. It was like the main connection to the Kaiser. I guess I didn't crank it down hard enough. Anyway, dangerous. Yeah. And luckily, we're rarely ever in that space, but it is right by the forklift. So like if you were forklifting, you just got lacerated, you know, by a whipping air hose. So I'm gonna that really is about the only thing I feel like in the shop that's not really well connected. So hopefully we'll get that figured out.
Cool. Yeah, vac pumps. I'm always expecting our vac pump to die at some inconvenient moment. You know, you hear stories of bearings just going and they just stop instantly. We've actually got a spare one just parked under the wide belt sander, like ready to plug in.
A compressor?
Spare vacuum pump for the CNC.
Oh, wow.
So if one of the hold down pumps goes, we can just like pit stop.
So what's crazy about ours is they have these like very affordable little motors, and they're used for like weird things like house vacuum cleaners, like in-house. And then also like car wash pump, you know, like how they, I don't know if you have these, like you go through the car wash and they spray you off. Those things, I guess, are the same thing. And then also vacuum hold down. And so they only have a certain life and you have to replace the brushes like yearly at least. And I don't know why. I thought about like every year, every time we touch them, I'm like, I should have an extra one of these motors laying around. Never bought one because I was like, I don't want to just have $200 sitting here doing nothing. And then luckily we can usually do fine with just 3 motors on, and did until we got the new one today. But they're like $150 to $200. So I don't know. We'll probably hopefully keep one more ready, but the air compressor is a whole nother story anymore. Like, I don't know if you heard Grimsmo talk about his spring.
Yeah.
God, it's a nightmare.
Far out. Crazy. Your vacuum pumps sound very different to our vacuum pumps. My cheapest vacuum pump I can buy here is about $5,000.
So, yes, the cool thing, ShopSaver kind of found this company or contracted them to make these. They call it like an F1 or an F4. It's basically just 1 or 4 motors. And then there are these kind of things that work in series that is put into a box. And so they're very affordable. I think when you buy that system, it's $2,500 maybe. And what's cool about them is they all work on single phase, which is like all residential service in America is single phase.
Right.
And so like, that's why I bought it, because I put it in my garage first, and it serves a 4x8 machine really well. And to this date, like, it's like $8,000 or 15 to get like a rotary vane kind of blower pump style, which is the upgrade from what I have. And I just never thought that was a good investment at this point. So maybe if we upgraded.
Cool. Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense.
We just have stuff start on fire every once in a while instead.
So Baby Pants was a hit, hitting our floor this week.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I appreciate the video. That was great.
Shipping. Yeah. Look, I got that video out in a hurry. It would have been nice to have tidied up our actual ducting connection a little bit, so it didn't look quite so less gaffer tape and more ducts.
That's how they always look, right? Like,
I know.
That's how that stuff is always, though. It's impressive when it's not like that.
But yeah, Baby Pants super exciting. I don't know if you want unboxing impressions on the podcast or not, but
Yeah, you could say
we
it.
can
We
al-
can cut it if
we can
not
always
otherwise.
we can always chop it out. The one criticism I have of pulling out of the box was the adhesive on the inside, which looks, I don't know what sort of glue it is, but it looks like hot melt
Yes.
adhesive. I was just like, Justin, what have you done? What's all this glue?
Yeah. No, it's an interesting. It's definitely an intentional choice, and
Of course, yeah, I'm sure.
we decided. I'm glad it kind of came up. We decided that more of keeping the boot together as an assembly was worth some aesthetic,
Really?
especially on the inside. We've done tests on other things, and this certain hot melt glue is made for HDPE.
Yeah.
And it's not super easy to control. It's like flow. So we have a little gun for it, and we decided to put it on the inside rather than the outside where you'd see it all the time. It just is not as aesthetic as you'd want it to be. And yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like, and I knew all of that to some extent pulling it out of the box. I was like, someone asked me about it, and I was like, oh, I'm sure that's like very deliberate, and I'm sure it's a great bond on both of those plastics. I totally understand.
No, I
It's
agree.
tricky, isn't it? Like getting that, you want it to be strong, and so of course you're going to do everything you can to make it as strong as possible, and keeping it on the inside makes total sense. But
It was outside, inside, or we tried to do a little of both, but it's just, it's hard to control. And so it's like, all right, well, at this point, brand new product. I don't want a bunch of people going, this broke because we only screwed it together.
mhm.
And so, we put the glue on the inside, and maybe over time we'll be able to like figure out how to minimize that. And
I wonder if you can get black hot melt like the same.
you can,
Something.
and I had somebody recommend that, but the type we're using that's specialty for
Yeah,
HDPE does not seem to come in that. But the other idea we
Yeah.
had, which we haven't tried, is just like black silicone, which is an interesting thought. We don't know if it adheres, especially long term, to HDPE. So honestly, the screws alone should hold really well. We've never, like the one
Yeah.
we've been using the whole time, couple we've been using, we didn't glue the top at all. But
Yeah.
we were just like, this hasn't been tested long enough. So yeah, no, I agree.
yeah, that's cool. It's like when you pull bits of cars apart and you see like how much adhesive they pile into them behind the scenes. It's like all this black goop everywhere that's
Yep.
then been
Yep.
painted over or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost more acceptable when it's black, or like it makes it feel more industrial or something.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, no, in summary, Baby Pants, as you saw in the video, just like ridiculous improvement for us, going from that tiny, convoluted piece of crap to huge airflow and like big brushes. Yeah, immediately want to add one to the other machine as well, because the
Yeah.
other machine is where we do our filthiest work with like machining this acoustic panel.
Mm.
We run this big 1/2-inch hogger with like a custom chamfer bit on it, and we run it all in one
yeah.
pass, and just like this, just stuff goes everywhere.
How does that one tool change? Is it the same? It's not.
A different tool changer, it's linear.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Interesting.
well done.
Yeah. No.
Nice
that's-
work.
Thanks. I was glad it got there safely. I think your example, other than not having dust collection, that machine, what you had before, is about as dramatic as it gets. Like a 2-inch port. It's just like, it's comical. Like that is basically what our shop vacs use here. It's like
I
a
know.
hobby machine. So it made for a really good comparison video.
So based on your notes, I'm guessing you're thinking about how you're going to sell more of this.
what did I write down?
You're going to get a booth at a tool show.
Oh. I see what you're saying. Yeah. It's kind of all compiled into one conversation of some friends that went to the woodworking show at Atlanta, IWF. I was messaging with them after the fact, and one was like, oh, you should think about bringing some of your stuff there next year, like the dust boot. And I was like, yeah, never really considered like showing at one of those things before. And like our conversations about markets and stuff like that, I'm like, I wonder if this ever pays off. Because this one person's example of the booth that they were associated with was 20 feet by 20 feet, and it cost $16,000 for a week.
Yeah.
And that one doesn't surprise me all that much, but I was just doing the math of like, how would that pay off? Because it's like, that's just a little part of it. Like, you got to bring a booth, you got to pay for everybody to go
Oh.
there. All this stuff is probably like double that booth cost. And so then I was just thinking, what if instead there are companies like DMG is publicly said, like, we're not going to go to these things anymore. Instead, what I've heard is we're going to fly out prospective buyers to our facilities on our dime and like show them a good time, basically show them our stuff. And that's a better investment than hoping somebody at a show wants to talk to them and like buy a machine.
Wow. That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
How do you apply that mentality to digital marketing?
Yeah. So like contrast that, that's one example, but I was just thinking, if I spent $20,000 on digital marketing, would I get a better ROI than taking myself and employees to a show? Be an interesting comparison study. You would think so.
I would say yes, 100%.
Unless we were going to like a dust collection conference. It's just that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of a mind-bending example from DMG. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't remember where I heard that. I feel like it was either on a podcast or I don't know the source, but it's just an interesting idea from such a big company. I mean, you imagine what it costs to ship some of those like Milturn?
Yeah.
Like,
and rig them in and out of the show and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal amount of money. That's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of first take for me. That's kind of like the difference between undirected ad spend versus really tightly targeted digital marketing.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow, a lot to think about there.
For sure, yeah.
Speaking of digital marketing, I tried a new email platform this week. I got served an ad on Instagram for, one of these email making apps called Flowdesk. And I just, at first glance, I was like, oh, their templates look quite nice and designy and were just appealing to me. So got a free trial and had a crack, and just coincided with this week when I needed to get out an email for the new Kidder Colin sort of pre-launch campaign. And so I made that in a hurry, and Jay was like, Jem, what are you doing? Have you verified our DNS servers, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh yeah, I've done it. It hasn't said it's worked, but I've done it. I sent off a few test emails, and then Jay again was like, whoa, what's going on with these fonts? Like, they're non-standard. They're not going to display properly in other browsers. It's like, well, let's test it. Who's got the worst old email? Like, Ben sent me his old Yahoo address, and I sent a test to Aaron's Hotmail, and we checked that things were displaying okay. And we're like, cool, yeah, it's not too bad. Send it. Send off our emails.
Did it convert? You sent me some stats. I don't remember.
The open rates were pretty good, like 50, almost 60%, which I was happy with.
That's great.
Click-through rate was decent, and conversions were pretty minimal, but a lot of those leads were pretty old as well. These were the list of emails we've been collecting on the website for people that were interested in this product, knowing that it was coming, but we've been collecting those emails for months now. I think since, maybe even May. So some of those leads were pretty old. So fair enough if they didn't go anywhere.
But that leads me to think, though, that there's two things maybe to that. The open rate is really good. I think for anything that's like a sign-up based thing where you're like intentionally trying to get information, that those numbers usually are better, right, than just like your random marketing email. But the conversion could be low for a bunch of reasons, that they were just curious or they wanted in to see what the potential was, but
there was no price point on it earlier either.
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. That's good. Was there good click through? Did they click on the emails all right?
I think it was like 14% or something.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Good. Yeah, I don't have much to compare that to because we've done so little with email. And I've never really looked at the metrics in Shopify because we've sent previous ones direct from Shopify, and the metric interface in Flowdesk is way nicer. So it's like right there, and you can go, oh, cool. And you can see it changing throughout the day.
Yeah, it definitely interests me. I've been trying to find an alternative to, I think I said this before, to MailChimp that I've used forever for NAC and Portland CNC, just because when I started the Portland CNC one, it was just the cream of the crop. And it's still a good service, but I just have an ethical issue with their now parent company. And also I'm like, I've kept it under, I'm somewhat proud of this in a weird way. I kept the free plan on both of them the entire time. Maybe I should have had a larger audience by now, but I've kept it under. I've kind of culled the lists down whenever I'm getting close, because it's until I go massively over that, I'm just going to be flirting with this line of like,
yeah, that's
people
cool.
that actually are engaging or not. And
Jem never opens my emails. He can get deleted off the list.
yeah.
See you, Jem.
No, I did see somebody, we were talking about my Dust Boot semi-info thing, and you had signed up on the show recently, and then I just saw somebody else from like Butter signed up for that thing again. And I think I was like, they must be trying this out to see if they want to try it too.
No doubt. Yeah.
Interesting. How much? I'll try it. 30 days. That's a good amount of time.
It's a good trial. Yeah. And segueing again, I guess, to that thing. Did you watch that reel I sent you of Tyler, the creator, talking about promoting your stuff?
And you mean to tell me that you're going to be passive with your own and just put it on your story once? Are you fucking crazy, bro?
It's just this great little clip that Aaron sent me a little while ago. Struck a chord with me because he talks about it of, kids these days, they just throw, one story up on Instagram saying I've got a new track and then that's it. And he's saying like, I'm out here a year later after my album dropped, still promoting it, like still talking to you, telling you about it. It's just like, I put so much like love and effort into making this. Why would I stop telling people about it? And it just really struck a chord with me because I have moments all the time of like, I feel like I'm just pushing stuff down people's throat. Why am I telling them again about Kit Parts or blah? Yep. It's like, actually, no, I put like years of R&D into this product. I'm going to keep telling people about it. And I should feel okay about that.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
I got it from here, yeah, damn.
I didn't listen to it. I can relate to that. I think a lot of my content on social media has been about Dust Boots for months. And I'm sure the people that potentially see most of them are like, all right, something else now. Let's see something else. But what's crazy about it is, especially the way that Instagram has gone towards Reels, it's all discovery based now. So like the people that see your stuff will be some of your existing followers, but a lot of it is new people. And like the amount of times I've explained or shown or have FAQs, we still get the same questions over and over of people that either hadn't seen something or it didn't get translated to them in a certain way that, does this work in this way? And I'll be like, yes, of course. Or, whatever they answer. And it's amazing how many times you can post about the same thing and still there's always somebody else that hasn't seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even as someone in your audience who has seen a million Dust Boot videos, posts, personally, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I mean, yes, I'm part of it, I'm along with you for the ride in terms of watching you make that and bring it out and being supportive and like buying one and like all of that. Yeah, or maybe it's just because I understand I'm also trying to make content and promote products on Instagram. So it's like, of course he's going to keep posting about it. So yeah, I'm probably not the right person to judge that, but I don't mind, Justin. Keep telling me about Dust Boots.
Someday we will all be just creators and we'll all be engaging with each other's content intentionally to help our friends.
That's right.
Jem needs a project. What do you need? What's your pro? You don't have anything to do?
No, I don't have enough to do. I just said... You know what I said earlier about slowing down? Well, I need a project
you should add something on
that. I just had a sense this week of like, why did I fail another week to get up early enough to come in and do R&D playtime in the workshop? And I had a moment on Thursday. And towards the end of the week, I walked out onto the workshop floor and I went and stood in front of the pencil sharpener for a while. And I was like, oh, pencil sharpener, I miss you. I want to play with you again. Yeah, I need to get back out there. And I've got, a list of ideas that I do want to work on, some weird fixturing and like getting some new complex off-axis joints happening and stuff. So there's no shortage of things to do, but I do have one particularly silly and potentially meaty project incoming. Nick Atkins, who is a boat builder in Melbourne, who I've probably mentioned before. He's a bit of a like grasshopper guru.
I think I got shared. Maybe I just saw his content recently or something. I don't know why.
He was on a local podcast recently, the Shop Stool podcast, and it was a great interview with him. Anyway, super interesting guy. He messaged me a couple of weeks ago saying Hey, there's all these like massive plastic pipes that have come out of the docks that need a home. They're going to get scrapped and recycled. They're like 700 mil diameter. What it's at, like 3.5 feet diameter pipes by 4 meters long. They need a home. And Laura and I were just like, right, let's get these pipes. We need them because Laura and I have been sort of chatting late at night on the couch about how we're going to build a commercial composting machine that can actually deal with the volumes of sawdust we generate here, because we've kind of tested what we can, but we're just, now we're just accumulating sawdust and we don't have enough space to actually process it fast enough. So we need to build a composting machine that can keep up with our sawdust. We saw these pipes and we're like, yes, this is just like the perfect starting point to build this harebrained scheme machine. Something we don't know what the machine is yet, but we know that these pipes are going to be part of it. So there's a semi-trailer coming this morning after we record, like with about 64 meters of this pipe. And poor Ben, our production manager, has been like diligently cleaning the workshop lately of like all my junk. Is like, Jem, do you need these things anymore? No. Okay. Get rid of this, sell that, put this in the bin. And then this week I was like, hey, Ben, there's a semi-trailer of more Jem stuff coming.
Jem cleaned up. Ben cleaned the shop out of Jem stuff, and now he's just bought a semi-trailer to fill it up.
That'll be fun. That'll be my project for a while, a composting machine.
I don't know that it's going to make any sense to explain it. So I also don't know if you know how you're going to do it, but I'm very curious to see how these giant pipes go into a semi-trailer and end up dealing with compost. Doesn't make sense to me right now, but I like it. I like the mystery of it.
Oh, it doesn't make sense to us either.
At least Laura's involved.
Yeah.
That's great. Literally yesterday, as we were like rounding out the pre-orders, and I've also, my R&D time is first half of my day. I've just been working on fixturing and thinking about the ATC stuff. And we're packing boxes and working in the shop yesterday, and I was staring at the router and I was like, oh, I've got another idea for a new thing. Like, and that's usually an exciting, like, it's a good moment. We usually talk about it for a while and we never like say, no, don't do it. But it's also like, that's like just how I'm wired, where it's like, all right, I got enough of the old thing figured out. Give me another new thing.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I mean, I do the same thing. I'm terrible at finishing stuff. I guess thankfully I have a team now to finish and be diligent and do their jobs well. And I scratch around doing a half-assed job, just starting things.
And listening back to our discussion about you launching new products and how the list has gotten long, I got defensive for you. And I was just like, it's almost like The Man, but it's your own company. Like, doesn't make any sense. But like, they're trying to hold me back. I just want to make new things. But it's not that at all. It's just like, just do a good job. In certain ways, does hold back the kind of like raw progress that's, if you stifle that though, to a certain degree, you turn into a big stodgy company, in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
and
totally.
There's other sides to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. There has to be a balance. And yeah, while it's incredibly valuable to be held to account,
yeah,
I am aware of that, of not letting systems override the creativity.
Yeah, for sure.
Too much.
There's just needs to be like I don't know what you call it, an MVP basically, right? Like the bare minimum of where we launch a product. And if you get past that, it's all gravy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have incredibly cool tech to share. I don't know if you saw this ahead of time.
Please.
The Penta web machine link there.
No, I didn't see this.
Just watch you open this.
It's the Pocket NC people.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's crazy.
What the hell? How can that look so good?
I don't know. I immediately sent this to the people at Autodesk and I was like, where's our version of this? This is so cool. That for the people that aren't visually seeing this, it's Penta Machining Company or Machining. I don't know what their full name is, but they're the old Pocket NC. They're coming out with this new 5-axis machine we've talked about. But they have a web simulation of this machine that will be running at IMTS. It's designed the everything's parts, but it's a full 5-axis simulation of the machine in a web browser, and it's like super easy to control. There's a link.
Oh, I recognize the part.
Yeah, it's that carabiner that designed
Carabiner.
everything's been making. So this will be running
Carabiner.
supposedly at IMTS.
How do you say that?
Carabiner.
Carabiner.
Yeah, cool.
How do you
I
say
just thought you
it?
said some carabiner. I just
Okay.
misheard you. I thought we had an aluminum situation.
There's another letter in there.
That's amazing. I mean, incredibly attractive work holding too with
It's
that
very
rotary
good, yeah.
action. That's cool.
Yeah, this machine is just like, I'm similar to our conversations about 5-axis and like trying to find a reason. Like I'm trying to find a reason to buy one of these things when they come out, because they're just, it's basically like a large 3D printer enclosure, but it's a proper spindle 5-axis machine with tool changing, and
Ooh, it's getting
Yeah.
a bit hot and heavy in here. I'm going to
It's
turn the
pretty-
heater off. Wow. Okay, I could just watch that for the next half an hour. Cool.
yeah, pretty good. So we have a lot of notes about hiring. We both
Yeah, we do. Does that
been
mean you're hiring?
No,
think you
unfortunately, not at the moment. Hopefully
Mm.
soon, but I have
Yeah.
a friend that was wanting to chat about hiring for the first time, and so I was kind of like reminiscing of my thoughts about hiring for the first time and like how I feel now
Oh, yeah.
versus then, and the difference of the first person you hire versus the third or the second. Even the impact that first person makes is so dramatic. Anyway, but I didn't have anything
Yeah.
very specific, but just kind of thinking about it again.
Yeah, I was chatting to a client / fellow maker the other day. He does sort of similar work, but he's still in that phase where he's just a solo operator. And we were chatting about, how Butter's team has grown and how he's still running solo and, enjoys it. And I was just, remembering back to those early days where there is a sweet spot there where, depending on the sort of work you're doing, it can be really effective to be a single operator. You can run quite high
Yeah.
margins. You
Yeah.
probably have to work more than is healthy
Yes.
to make it all work. But like there's a kind of a sweet spot where you can work like 6 days a week and earn really good money and do great work and just make it all hustle and make it all work. But yes, I think, and then there's this kind of, I feel like then there's this very awkward stage beyond that where it's like a small support team, incredibly effective, but like very hard to make the numbers work
Yes.
for a while there. And I feel like there's a kind of I don't know. I mean, everyone's business model is different, but just speaking from our experience, there was that sort of awkward in between stage between like 1 or 2 people and now having a team of, I think, 9, including me. I feel like we're now getting back to a sweet spot of like, cool, all right, the business model is starting to work again. The margins are getting back to where they should be. Whereas when we're kind of 6, 7 people, then it was just really wasn't working very well at all. And obviously there's heaps of factors that lead to that, but it's not just about team size. Yeah, I do feel like there's an awkward in-between stage.
I have this continual thought, and it's never because I've also never made it past. I feel like I said this a couple weeks back, but where your company's at, it feels like the point past the awkward stage. We had 4 people total at one point, and it felt great, but I always felt so much pressure.
Yeah.
We were always flirting with not having enough money, and I think I was just thinking back of like if I had to answer for you, it's probably that we've never kept the jobs. I haven't done a good enough job of like selling enough jobs that keep things consistent. And I do have an interesting perspective now of, for the first time, having somewhat consistent sales of something like a product versus service, that we still had really low job shop work revenue last 2 months at least. It's been frustrating, but weirdly enough though, like other sales of products have grown obviously in a way that weren't there before, and that's definitely helped. And I can now see this like potential where my dream of always having those 2 things be somewhat like a 50-50 would be ideal, right? And then they can play off of each other. And I think in my perspective, I'd always rather have more product sales because it just seems much more controllable.
Yeah.
But I don't know how how you get from 1 or 2 or 4 employees and team size to that next stage. And like, especially in that, like, you didn't ever really hire a salesperson, right?
And our current sort of thinking is not to think too much about the team size, but let the work determine what we need. So we're very much at the moment, we're just like trying to really consistently push sales higher than we ever have before, and not think too much about the effect that will have on the workshop, but let the workshop feed back when it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
It's like we have way more capacity in terms of what we can do out there on the floor. So at the moment, the struggle is trying to just like sell enough to keep them busy and then grow beyond that point and find where the new bottlenecks are. Because at the moment, our bottleneck is very much in sales and quoting. So yeah, I would love to hire someone into that sales position this year, but we'll see how we go. I have this problem with recruitment where just like, and in life probably, where everyone I meet, I'm just like, oh, I like you. I want to give you a job. I'm like that dog on Up. It's like,
My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you.
yeah, I find it really difficult to sort of separate what we're actually looking for in the job description from like meeting all these new people and like having engaging, interesting conversations with them and learning about their backstories. And just, yeah, I possibly need to be removed from the recruitment process for that reason, so we can make more objective like decisions about who we hire.
It's just funny. I have that same reaction. We'll have deliveries from a company, and sometimes I'm like, "Oh, you're such a good employee." Like, what's your name? Like, what's your phone number? I don't need a delivery person, but like, you seem like you could be very trainable and you could do something for us, you know?
I think that's a really interesting point, and not something you should suppress. I think you should be taking numbers, basically.
Yeah, sure.
And keeping a register, like, because when it comes to the moment when you do need someone to help you, like, you don't want cold leads. You want to be able to go back and go like, oh, that delivery driver was awesome. I wonder if they're looking for work. I'll just give them a call and suss it out. Do you remember me?
I've had applications from, which I don't think they were in any wrong position to apply, but I've had applications from existing clients, repeat clients, people that work, an employee of theirs, and I'm like, I can't, even if you're I don't know, we'd have to have a weird conversation. If you were the best applicant, your boss, you're the only assistant for your company, right? Like, and I remember having the conversation with this person, the owner, about how happy they were to have a new employee. And I was like, I cannot take that person. Like,
no, I don't think it's ethical to poach people by any means, but I think it's important to, I suppose, be always scouting.
Yeah.
And then that was something I sort of came to in the last week of like, I often hold back from putting recruitment processes in place because I don't like disappointing people. So I don't like saying, hey, there's a job coming up at Like Butter, because then I have to disappoint a whole bunch of people who don't get that job.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The distinction I came to was like, okay, I don't want to be recruiting all the time, but I do want to be scouting all the time. So I want to be, if any little connections come up, I want to be having conversations with people of like, hey, we're not hiring right now, but like, what do you do? What are you interested in? This is what we do. Come and have a coffee. And then so when we do need someone in a hurry, it's just a matter of like looking at that list and going, oh, who have I spoken to? Let's just see where they're at now. They might not be available, of course, but they might be looking for a change as well. So
I don't know if it's ever proved fruitful yet, but I leave an application open all the time on their website, kind of for the same reason, like not to, I don't know. Sure, to some degree, it could be wasting people's time. I'm very clear on the website, like, we aren't hiring, but if you want to, fill this out, that's on you. And I look over all of them. I can't remember that that's ever turned into anything at this point, but
that's cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, if you actually use that as a resource, fantastic. I mean, if it's just going into your inbox and you're never looking at it ever again,
it goes straight to my spam. Actually, no.
Yeah, you're probably wasting your time and their time. But like, if it does become a usable list, then fantastic.
Yeah. I've had one Airtable list since I started trying to hire, so it's every application.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. I thought when you were saying Scouting 365, you had found some software, because we're mostly a podcast about software.
Oh dear. Yep.
It's a Microsoft product. Office 365 now for scouting.
Wonder if my pipes are here yet.
I have a weird question, but you do a lot of this stuff. Have you figured out any systems for when somebody orders a product? Do you just put I guess maybe I'll go back. When somebody orders a product and it has an assembly guide to it of some sort, how do you give that to the customer?
Well, we tend to give them the wrong assembly guide.
Oh, that's good.
That goes down really well. What do? We have, when a job gets bundled up and wrapped to go out the door, it gets a sticker put on it with the product name and a QR code. And that QR code links to some sort of asset, whether it be a video on YouTube of how to put it together, or a PDF or a web page. We've got a real mixed bag of assets from different eras, but it'll link to something useful. And we've got a lot of work to tie those assets together and make new ones which are more relevant and better and blah, blah, blah. But they scan it with their phone and pull some sort of link up that should help them put it together, basically. Yeah. Or tell them how to look after it. We've got one that goes on as well, which is like a care and maintenance QR code, and it just takes them to a web page where they can click through tabs and see which material they're working with and how to look after it.
I was just struck by the idea. So I just make most of the time I'll make some sheet that gets handed out, put in the box. Got a gnat attacking me. And I realized while packing a dust boot, you probably saw it's like a little sheet that has some QR codes on it. Because I try to do the same. I like a QR code or a link to a web asset that can always be updated. So if it's in transit or something happens, they can always get back to the thing that's important, like the guide or whatever that is. You can always be updated on the other end. And I realized one of them I hadn't put anything in the box, so I just emailed them personally and it was like, hey, this is what I forgot to put in the box. You need this to... There's a couple details if you have a shop saver that are pretty important about the dust boot.
I don't remember seeing that in the box.
You just dump
Maybe
it out.
I was just so excited about the stickers. I was like, yeah, stickers.
Yeah, I tried to put it in a way that you can't miss it, but I guess you can miss it.
I did
anyway,
miss it. Yeah.
I had this thought that I also want to send everybody that orders any product, whatever we're putting in the box, I also wanted to come digitally to you when we send you the shipping notification. And so I was trying to think of how do you do that if it's not built into your shipping system, or could it be in Shopify if that's what you're shipping with? Is there an app or a thing that's for Kita Parts, here's the PDF that gets slipped off with it, I don't know. It comes in the email. So you have it in two places and there's never you could forget the one in the box on accident and then I don't know.
Yeah, I think Jay's built that in Airtable and Shopify. I don't know if it goes to the customer in a paper form, but it could easily be an email as well. Jay's built a product builder in Airtable that we can build out all the components of every product and quantities of each kit. And then that's linked to the order printer app in Shopify. So that when an order comes in, it automatically pulls those parts out of Airtable and builds a checklist for shipping. And so that gets ordered. That's what we look at on the workshop floor of someone's ordered a kit of parts that should contain these parts. Check all the boxes. Initial, packed by Gem, that goes in the box. So we've checked it and then it goes to the customer as well. So they've got a checklist of what should be in the box. And it's quite a convoluted beast that Jay's built. It's quite hard to drive and add new things to it, but it was quite complex to make, but the end result is cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's kind of about what I'm doing too. And it's some things I want to put effort into. I want that solution, but I also don't want to spend weeks on figuring that out. And then each new product, you're describing a product builder, right? That's kind of what you need, but it's also very complicated to set up. If it's also complicated to set up and use, it's a problem for me. We have a whole NACWAL thing that's made, but it's super complicated to continue to use. And thus I haven't used it because it's too complicated. So anyway.
Yeah, look, and that's one of the things that I'm ignoring on the product launch list of I don't want to go into Airtable and try and remember how to build out the components of this new product. I just want to sell units and get it out to people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always a balance.
And a little follow up on that same idea, Ricky and I very quickly just adopted the idea that we would just start putting in any concept of a product straight into the same inventory, like database of Airtable for a product at the beginning, because we kept having that. We talked about that problem where I would just have stuff like, where's the nuts and bolts for this product? Oh, I don't know. It's in Justin's email probably. Or like, even honestly, it's been really helpful because I'll do like revision detail notes in that now, just in a note in the Airtable product about like, oh, we changed the spacing of this to this on this version. And it's like, now I have it somewhere versus
That's cool.
It's just so simple.
Yeah, that's cool. That reminds me, we've got a change log for products somewhere. And I'm sure it's in Airtable, but I don't know where, so I don't use it. So that's
Yep.
the dangers of building complex systems.
Right.
Oh, well, let's just go and make some new stuff.
For sure. I need to work on my cabinets this weekend, so that's my next step, making fronts for the cabinets. We've got them. Aaron's built them all over our house. The boxes, the first floor, we just have like IKEA boxes all around now. And so I just have to, and I got the bamboo, so I have to figure out how to make the fronts work off my machine onto their boxes.
Awesome.
Without making a complicated fusion model. I'm not going to let myself mess around with like making the perfect parametric shit. I'm just going to like probably Rhino, honestly. I might just Rhino model each cabinet so it's done and I don't break anything.
Yep. Sounds fast and efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Get it done.
Cool,
man. Oh, we smashed through quite a bit there.
I woke up early today. I'm feeling good.
Good. What's early?
6. Not early for you.
That's good. That's respectable.
I watched the sunrise behind you, basically.
You did?
Yeah, it's gotten brighter the whole time.
You can't say you got up early just because you watched my sunrise. That doesn't count. You
got up early. It's your time. I think that counts.
Cool.
I'm hot. Need to turn my air conditioner.
Yeah, I'm going to go and see where I'm going to store all these pipes.
Where are you going to put that semi-trailer?
Yeah.
Have you told Ben about this yet?
Yeah. I don't know if he quite believes me, but yeah.
No, I bought a semi-trailer.
Cool, man.
All right.
Ciao.
Off. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Doodle-doo.